9 keys that make him cherish you. If you'd like to discover the secrets to a man's heart, what makes him really see a woman as his prize, his cherished woman that he would never want to leave, never want to lose, and also what makes a man pull away, lose interest, and the biggest mistakes that will not make him want to commit to a loving, long-term committed relationship. We're going to be covering that in this training today. So hi, I'm Brody Boyd with Magnetize Your Man, and our mission here is to create 1 billion loving, long-term, and committed relationships, which I've been doing for over 20 years combined now with my wife, Antia. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, secret number 9, we've got secret number 9 here, is to pause after sharing your emotions. So if you want a man to really cherish your heart, he has to feel your heart. So you have to allow space for him to respond. When you pause, he can feel your heart, which draws him closer. When he feels your heart, that's what makes him start to connect to it, to start to empathize with you. Your feminine core is your feelings and emotions. In order for a man to connect with your femininity, which builds the polarity through the law of polarity, which states that opposite energies attract, masculine, feminine energies attract each other. If you want him to feel your feminine energy, you have to let him feel your heart through the pause. It's not always the words that changes a man. It's him feeling your heart, him knowing what emotions you are feeling. So when you can simply share them with him by saying something like, I feel sadness, or I feel anxiety, or I don't know what to do, he can feel your heart in that moment, especially when you pause after saying those words, after expressing your feeling. When you pause after that, you give him space to feel you, which then allows him also to step into his masculine energy and take leadership to solve the problem or to help you in some way to make things better. So it's a very powerful distinction that a lot of women don't get, and they'll just talk over their feelings, or they won't pause and just keep filling the space, and it doesn't allow him to actually feel their heart. Key number 8, we got key number 8 here, is to celebrate his masculinity. Verbalize how his leadership and strength make you feel safe and cherished. So find ways and actually think about that and feel about that within yourself of what are the masculine traits that your man has. What are the ways that he is leading, that he is making decisions, that he is solving problems, that he is planning, that he is creating a vision for the future, that he is initiating, that he is getting things done, that he's taking action, that he's moving things forward. Even the small ways, even little tiny things, like, for example, he took your car in to go get fixed, or he is leading you in making decisions what you guys are going to eat at night. Little small things like that. Find ways to appreciate him for those and to celebrate him for those things, because what happens is you create positive reinforcement that allows him to actually celebrate his own masculinity, his own masculine energy, which makes him want to do it more, which makes him want to be your protector, provider, hero even more. So it starts with you starting to recognize those masculine traits about him, which again will just by itself start to increase polarity, and that will allow him to start doing more of that for you and then coming to you, because he will feel that pull. He will feel that attraction. He will feel that he is stepping into that role and that he is wanting to lead and provide for you, that he is wanting to be a better man for you and to make you feel safe and cherished and adored. So when you start celebrating that within him, it starts to bring it out more and you get exactly what you want. The 7th key to make a man cherish you is to celebrate your femininity, your feminine energy. So embrace your softness, warmth, and receptivity, allowing him to feel the contrast with his masculine energy. So start to look for, just like you did with your man, start to look within yourself of all the feminine traits that you already have, the things you do that are soft, that are warm, that are receptive, that are allowing him to give to you, allowing him to lead, allowing him to plan things, allowing him to do things for you and solve problems without you stepping in and having to control or criticize him or be his mother. So you're encouraging him to be in his masculine by you also being in your feminine, celebrating those traits about yourself where you are vulnerable. Celebrate the instances when you are vulnerable, when you do share your feelings, when you hold back from wanting to say something that could have been disrespectful or critical of him, and or not receiving a gift that he wanted to give you. Maybe he gave something to you, he did something to you, and you kind of brushed it off, or you gave him like a very you actually then brought up things that he wasn't doing right, like, oh, you did this for me, that was great, but then why aren't you also keeping the kitchen clean, or why can't you just text me more often? I love that you called me, but why can't you call me more often? So that's kind of like the backhanded compliment where you're giving him a compliment and appreciation, but then there's like a backhanded element to it where it's actually critical in some way. So find all the ways where you're doing those things and instead emphasize the ways that you're being feminine, the ways you are being open and receptive, and celebrate that within yourself. Celebrate those feminine traits, the way you dance, the way you move. We're going to talk about some more in this video, but that's all going to help you to expand that polarity even just within yourself. The next key to celebrate, to have a man cherish you and celebrate you is, this is an easy one. This is like a what we call a micro habit, which is to sway your hips and walk with grace. And so this is an easy one you can start doing wherever you go and just by yourself. You don't even need to be with a man or with your man in order to do this, but you can practice swaying your hips, walking with grace. There's some great old videos of Marilyn Monroe walking through some casino in a movie. I forget which movie it was. It was like Some Like It Hot or something. But just watch how she moves. Watch how she moves her body when she walks. That's feminine expression. That's feminine expression through your body. And it actually can also bring pleasure to you. It can bring good feelings within yourself, that you are connecting to your body more, that you are listening to the feminine desires of your body. But then also it is helping you to get clear on the polarity aspect. Thinking about, how are men and women's bodies designed differently? How do they move differently? What are those traditional masculine traits? The way that a man moves versus the way that the most masculine man you can imagine, the way he moves, versus the way the most feminine woman you can imagine moves, which again, if you want reference for that, go watch some old Marilyn Monroe movies or YouTube clips. But this is an easy one that you can start to practice that will help a man feel that polarity and start to want to cherish you more because of that attraction and devotion that gets activated within his heart. So next, if you haven't yet, I highly recommend also, before we get to the next point, taking our free Magnetize Your Man quiz to get a loving, long-term, and committed relationship with a man you want, which again, you can get by clicking the link in our bio description or comments below, or going to our website, magnetizeyourman.com. That's really going to help you, where we can actually do this for you and teach you exactly what to say with your man to make him desire you. So I highly recommend that as well. Now, secret number 5, the key to make a man cherish you is to let go of control. Surrendering control in small ways encourages him to step into his masculine leadership. We talked about this earlier. So what are the different ways that you are trying to control the relationship? First, you have to do a control audit within your relationship with him. What are the small ways or big ways that you feel that you may be subtly trying to control him? Or what are the small or big ways you may be subtly trying to control the relationship? Are you doing things for him? Are you doing things that are trying to make him like you more? Make him do things for you more? Or are you simply allowing those things? Are you working on yourself instead and attracting him and inspiring him to actually do those things for you? Are you trying to solve problems for him? Are you trying to protect him in some way? Are you trying to be his hero rather than allowing him to do those things for you, to give you pleasure, to be your hero, protector, provider, etc.? Are you trying to manage his perceptions of you? Are you trying to put on a mask or pretend to be something that you not necessarily are, because you want him to like you, you want him to react to you in some way, or to give you something that he's not currently giving you? Rather than being vulnerable and sharing your feelings, which is your essence, which is your core, which is your feminine, which we teach through Magnetic Feminine Polarity and our Magnetic Feminine 90-Day Challenge. But letting go of the control then allows you to be in your feminine, allows you to then have the space to receive. Just like if somebody wanted to hand you a gift, if somebody wanted to hand you, there's this old saying, this old Chinese saying, which is, in order to grab onto the gallon, you have to first let go of the cup. So have you actually let go of control so that a man can actually give you what you want? You have to have an open hand in order to receive anything. And that is the feminine openness. That is the receptivity. That is saying, here, I'm open and available to receive from a man, from him, where he can, just like in a dance, grab your hand. When you put your hand out, he can grab it and he can start to lead you. He can start to lead the relationship forward for that amazing dance, for his pleasure and for your pleasure. But you first have to be open to receive, and you first have to let go of whatever it is you're holding on to, whether you're trying to hold on to him, you're grasping onto him, or you're holding on to some element of protection or control, or it's got to be a certain way, or I have to be a certain way in order for men to like me or for things to go well. And it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary to let go. I'm not saying this is easy. We go much deeper in this in our courses and our trainings, but overcoming the fear and being courageously vulnerable is going to be one of the big keys to actually finally stepping into your feminine. Key number 4 is to focus on pleasure. Enjoying life's pleasures, whether that means a bubble bath or savoring a delicious meal, your enjoyment will draw him closer. So when a man sees and notices and feels that you are a woman who can enjoy things, you are a woman who can receive, who can experience pleasure, like I like to call my wife sometimes a pleasure receptor, whenever I'm, tingling her arm or her legs and she just goes, oh, oh, like that. So she really likes the pleasure, right? So if a man feels that he can give you pleasure, that he can make you happy, and that you can also enjoy those things, and you can even make yourself happy, you can make yourself have that pleasure, you're now attracting more of that to you. He's going to want to give that to you because he sees this is a woman who can receive. This is a woman who I can make happy, who I can give pleasure to. And again, it doesn't have to be sexual pleasure, because I would recommend waiting, highly recommend waiting until a man has claimed you, fully claimed you, that you're the only woman for him that he sees for his future, until you have sex with a man. However, there's many other ways that a man can make you happy, that he can give you pleasure, and that you can give yourself pleasure through those examples of food, music, dance, fun activities that you enjoy, going on walks in nature, exercising, time with girlfriends, reading a good book. There's so many different things you can do to start filling yourself up with that pleasure that allows you to become a pleasure magnet, a pleasure receptor that draws him in. That's why I call our brand Magnetize Your Man, because you're literally drawing him in when you're connected to your magnetic feminine like this. So now I'm going to do a Q&A in just a moment. So if you have any top dating or relationship questions, go ahead and post those in the comments below now, and I'll start answering some of those when I have time after the rest of our training here. So key number 3 is to avoid criticizing. So instead of critiquing, share your feelings vulnerably and let him figure out how to make things better. So all you really have to do is the feminine. So the feminine shares problems, the masculine solves problems. So in your relationship with a man, in your connection, all you really have to do, instead of telling him what to do or criticizing him that he's not doing good enough, you simply have to make it about yourself and share your own feelings, your own emotions. That's what we teach through magnetic feminine communication. When you can be vulnerable and share what the problem is, just like imagine your car. The car has a check engine light. And whenever there's an issue with the car, for example, the gas tank is low, that little gas tank light is going to pop on. Or if the engine something's going on with the engine, the oil needs to be changed, that oil check engine or the check oil light will pop on. So in a similar fashion, you can do that in your relationship. All you have to do is signal. You have to signal, and you have to be vulnerable and share what's actually going on for you in a way that's respectful, that he can receive, that doesn't feel like you're whacking him on the head with your emotions or criticizing him or blaming him, which again is a fine distinction. That's why we teach magnetic feminine communication, and why we'll actually coach you and practice this with you and give you exactly what to say with your man in a specific situation you may have, so that you are being in your feminine, you're doing it in a respectful and a vulnerable way, which is not always easy and is a fine balance. And you may think you're being vulnerable when you're actually not, or you may think you're being respectful when you're actually not. You're actually being disrespectful, which is why he keeps pulling away. So instead of doing that, you share your feelings vulnerably and openly, and it allows him to come closer to you and want to provide and want to solve the problem himself. He will solve the problem. He will come up with the solution. You don't have to give him a solution. You can often say what you want, the end result that you want, but don't tell him how to do it. Just like if you were to go to a restaurant, you don't sit at the restaurant and say, I would like a cheeseburger, and I would like you to take 2 pieces of lettuce and put it on the top, and then you have to put the cheese on top after that, and then you have to put the ketchup, and then you have to put the mayonnaise, and you have to put it all in between 2 buns, and then put a nice bundle of fries. I don't want too many fries, maybe like 50 fries. That's a good amount. Put those on the side, and I want it to look nice, and bring it out to me within 15 minutes if you can. You don't do that typically when you go to a restaurant. You're not giving them specific instructions, because if you did that, the server and the cook, especially the chef, would probably be very annoyed that you're micromanaging them and telling them exactly how to do things. You don't have to do that. All you have to say is, I would like to order a cheeseburger, please. And then let him come up with a solution. Let him decide how much mayonnaise and mustard and ketchup he's going to put onto it and how much slices of lettuce. Let him figure it out. And then when you get the burger, if you like it, share your appreciation with him. If you don't like it, you would share your feelings with him so that he can make it better next time, or he can adjust. But not that you're telling him what to do. You're letting him solve the problem. All you have to do is be vulnerable in your feminine, share your feelings in the right way, and tell him your needs and desires in the right way, and he will solve that for you from his masculine. He'll be inspired into that. The next key, number 2, is to respect his decisions. When you trust and respect his choices, it will make him feel valued and trusted, which deepens his commitment. So whatever his decisions are, trust them, respect them. Say, I trust you. I trust you got it handled. I trust you'll make the right choice. That's a lot of responsibility you're giving him. When you say something like that, you're allowing him to actually take the masculine role. Now he has the weight on his shoulders of making a good choice. He may not always make the good choice, but when you give that responsibility to him, and you say like, I would like you to choose, or I'll let you handle this one, or I'll let you decide. You're giving him the masculine responsibility now to make that choice. And he's going to feel the weight of that, unless he's a bad man or he's totally broken and he has no care for your heart, where he just dismisses it, which is a very few amount of men, only 5 to 10% roughly. Most men will start to take on that responsibility over time, which is why we recommend doing our Magnetic Feminine 90-day challenge, because that's going to really help you the most to actually have this handled and be able to actually trust the man and allow him to make those decisions. So you can experience joy. You can experience the pleasure of him taking the lead, of him solving your problems, of him wanting to make you happy. Because most men want to make their woman happy. 90% of men, they want to make their woman happy. That's the fundamental drive. They just need to know how to make you happy, what you actually need, and that they are trusted and respected for doing so, and that they're appreciated for doing so. So it's not always easy, but that's the gift you can give him. Really, the only gift you have to give of trust, admiration, appreciation, respect, allowing him to lead, allowing him to do those things for you, but you have to communicate in the right way in order to get him to do that, which is where we come in and help you to really master that. So now key number 1 is to avoid mothering him. We talked about this before in some of our trainings that we do in our courses around the distinction of mothering energy versus wifey energy. I call it mommy energy versus wifey energy. You want to avoid mothering a man. Trust that he knows how to handle things on his own, which will make him feel respected. Again, one of the big things a masculine man craves to be trusted and respected. A feminine woman craves to be adored and cherished, which is the title of this video, right? How to make a man cherish you. Well, if you want him to adore and cherish you, you have to first trust and respect him. And if you're really trusting and respecting a man, you would never mother him, because that is disrespectful. That is showing him that you don't think he's capable, that you don't think he's good enough, that if he doesn't have your mothering care, that he's going to get hurt in some way, or he's going to make some stupid decision, or he's going to forget something. That's disrespectful, and a man is not going to like that over time. A masculine man especially is not going to like it over time. He's going to start pulling away from the relationship and withdrawing, because it's eroding his masculine core. And it's also diminishing your own feminine core, because it causes you to move into your masculine mode. Just like a mommy is taking care of her son, she's in her masculine. She's really taking the lead. She's being the protector. She's being the provider. She's being the hero. She's solving problems for the baby. She's making sure the baby has enough food. She's making sure he doesn't get into trouble or doesn't hurt himself. She's reminding him of things. She's punishing him sometimes when he doesn't do the right thing. She's training him. So that's not what you want to do with your man. That's going to create the opposite result of what you ultimately want with your man. So we're going to teach you how to actually have a quality relationship, how to have a healthy polarized relationship where you can relax and let go of all those mothering, controlling behaviors you might have done in the past, like reminding him to pick up the groceries, or nagging him, or yelling at him because he forgot to do something for you, or he's not being, taking enough action to make money, or whatever it might be, playing too many video games. That's all mothering behavior. So we'll teach you how to do the wifey behaviors. Wifey energy is so critical, and how to be in your feminine to attract him to you. But it's going to be a process. It's going to take some training. It's just like learning how to do the tango, or learning how to do a salsa dance, or learning how to speak a new language. It's going to take some time. You're not going to master these principles overnight. You're not going to master these techniques overnight. You need a coach, you need a community, you need guidance, you need proper training to really master this, and it's going to take some time. That's why we have the 90-day challenge. It's going to take about 90 days for you to totally transform a relationship with a man, or to attract a quality, high-quality man to have in your life. So give it that time. Give it the investment that it deserves. This is an important area of your life, and if your relationships aren't doing well, it's almost impossible to be happy. And this is true for men as well. If your romantic life is miserable, you're likely miserable as well. It's very hard to be happy in a very unfulfilling relationship or unfulfilling romantic life. And there's been many studies done on that. So we'll help you with that, how to really take this seriously and master your relationships and your romantic life once and for all. So I'm going to start answering some questions in just a bit. So hopefully you've been posting some questions and comments. Again, if you haven't yet, if you really want to master this in your life, I highly recommend taking our free Magnetize Your Man quiz to get a loving, long-term committed relationship. Click the link in the description or comments below, or you can go to our website, magnetizeyourman.com, to get that free quiz and start yourself on the path to really having the romantic life of your dreams. So let's start answering some questions here. So Tina said hello. Hi, Tina. Bella said hello. A lot of highs. Hello, everybody. Good to see you on here. Nostalgia said, what if I am worried about a certain behavior from my boyfriend, like eating a lot of unhealthy food? Things are going very well. He cherishes me so much. I want to approach this in the best way. Yeah, that's a great question, Nostalgia. So again, we talked about going into mothering behavior. So if you were to try to tell him that he's eating unhealthy and that he should eat a different way and that's not good for him, that's what a mommy would do, right? A mommy would say, Johnny, you need to stop eating that junk food. You got to eat healthy. Look at you. You're putting on, you're going to get sick. What are you doing? That'd be like what a mommy's doing with her son, which can be loving, but it's from a tough love perspective. And it's from her being in the masculine. The little boy is actually in his feminine in those moments, especially. So you don't want to create that dynamic with your man. Now, what you can do, and using the feminine principles and feminine polarity that will teach you, is communicate from your feminine how you're feeling about it. So what is the impact? So every time a man is doing something, you as the feminine, you're receiving, you're receptive. That's the feminine receptivity, is noticing what your body is feeling and what emotions are coming up whenever your man is doing something or not doing something. And then rather than making it about him and how he needs to change and what's wrong with him and he's going to get sick or he's going to ruin his health or he's going to die, if he doesn't change something, that's you trying to control him. That's you trying to manipulate him and mold him and lead him into becoming a certain way, which is disrespectful. It's also distrusting, and it's putting him into the feminine, putting you in the masculine, which is going to ruin your relationship. It's going to cause a lot of issues if you go down that path. Now, the reverse of that, the healthy way to approach it, is instead making it about yourself and the emotions that you're feeling regarding him, and then sharing that with him using magnetic feminine communication. So for example, saying something like, could I share something with you? Sure. I feel some anxiety. Well, why do you feel anxiety? Because I've noticed that you've been eating some of these Pringles all day long, whatever he's eating. I've been noticing you've been drinking a lot of Gatorades lately. It's causing me a lot of distress. So that's just a joke, but basically I've been noticing you've been drinking these Gatorades lately, a lot of them, and I'm telling myself a story that it could be potentially affecting your health, and it's just causing me to feel some anxiety, and I don't know what to do. Could I have some help with that? So now you're asking him for help. You've had some feelings coming up for yourself, and you've made it about you, and for him to start helping with that would shift him into his masculine. So that's an example of a way that could sound like, potentially, with using magnetic feminine communication. Now, exactly how to do that we'll teach you, and we'll craft out the exact scripts that I would recommend using with your man, but that would be an example of what it would feel like for you to be letting go of control and letting him do what he does, but you can still share how you feel. You can still signal to him, just like that check engine light on the car. You can still signal to him like a flower to the bee. The flower is signaling, and the bee comes to the flower to help and to bring pollen. That's him wanting to solve the problem. That's him wanting to give to you and help you. So that would be an example of that, Nostalgia. I hope that was helpful. Lizzie said, I think using me for sex. So again, if you think a man is using you for sex, that's another big area that you can share your feelings around respectfully and vulnerably. And I would definitely recommend getting some coaching with that, because that can be a tough situation to get out of when you're in a friends with benefits situation where a man is just seeing it as sex and he doesn't really want a long-term relationship, or he doesn't want a relationship with you. That's a tough situation that it's going to be very helpful to have some help and coaching to get out of it, because the way you're going to get out of it is you got to get him to desire to cherish and adore your heart. You got to inspire him to cherish and adore your heart by you being in your feminine. That's the only way you can bring him to you, to want to help, to want to provide, and to see you as a long-term potential. You want him to think in his own mind, wow, this is a woman I could see the rest of my life with. This is a woman who I'm feeling fulfilled being with on multiple levels, not just sexually. I feel emotionally it's a great connection, physically, mentally it's a great connection, spiritually it's a great connection, And then, of course, you can have physical aspects that don't even necessarily include sex, but it could just be he's physically attracted to you, or he's physically affectionate with you, or you are with each other. So he can feel all those connections on all those different levels. And the biggest thing is that polarity piece, because a man who is seeing other women potentially as well, you want to stand out from those other women. You want to stand out from any other woman that he could see himself with. And the way you do that is through being in your magnetic feminine. When you become the most feminine woman he knows, the other women in his life will start to drift away, because he'll have no interest in that, because he's not getting that same amount of tension and polarity and chemistry. Because the law of polarity states that opposite energies attract. So the more feminine you become, the more you know how to communicate properly from your feminine and use some of the principles and the training we'll give you and we'll coach you on. We'll do it for you to train you how to become the most magnetic feminine woman you could be. And it's relatively easy, but it's going to take some courage. It's going to take some investment into yourself and saying, yes, I'm going to do this. Yes, I'm committed to myself. I'm committed to living the best relationship I can have, because then a man's going to devote himself to you. Then he's going to financially want to provide for you. He's going to want to give everything to you. He's going to give you the moon because he sees you as his woman. And that's what the biggest shift is going to need to happen for you and him, for him to see you as that woman for the long term. So I hope that was helpful, Lizzie. Maria said, be silent is the best. Yeah, the key is when you pause, especially after you share something vulnerable. If you share something with him around your feelings or around an issue you're having and you pause, you give him space to take the lead. Because oftentimes when you pause, what is a man most likely to do? He's going to ask you another question. So if you were to say something like, I'm feeling some sadness, or I feel some anxiety, or I feel, even if you say I feel happy, or I feel so relaxed right now, a man is more likely to then say, oh, why do you feel that way? Or what's going on? Or why are you feeling so happy? Or why are you feeling sad? What's the sadness about? Or he might just go straight to like, how can I help? Or what could I do? So you're giving him space to take that lead. That's why I say signaling versus initiating. When you signal, just like dropping the handkerchief and saying, oops, I dropped the hanky, there's something wrong. And then the man can say, oh, I'll help you. I'll pick that up for you. And I want to ask about what's going on and how I can help. But that'll only happen if you give him that space. My wife likes to say a queen holds, meaning that a queen is able to stay quiet in those moments. She's able to just be with herself. The feminine is about being, the masculine is about doing. So when you can just be with yourself in a relationship or in a situation and not have to fill the space right away and not have to try to convince a man to do something or try to explain or over justify something, he can naturally step in and provide help and provide masculine care to make things better, or to approach you and start an interaction or ask you out or ask you for your phone number. That would be in the case if you're single. So I hope that was helpful, Maria. And yeah, good share with that. So Caroline said, how do you both communicate when you both been hurt more in life? Yeah, so it's like the old joke, how do two porcupines mate? I don't know if anybody knows that joke. How do two porcupines mate? Well, they do so very carefully. So that's what you have to do in your relationship, Caroline, is you have to communicate very carefully. Doesn't mean you have to put on a mask and be inauthentic or walk on eggshells. It just means you need some training. You need to learn how to communicate respectfully and vulnerably in all different situations with a man, so that you can master this. Just like learning how to dance the West Coast swing dance is my favorite, or how to learn how to speak Japanese. You need to invest into it. You need to take some time to learn the steps so that you can communicate in a way that he doesn't get triggered and that you don't get triggered and that he doesn't start pulling away and get defensive, but that he can actually feel your heart. He can empathize with you. He can want to help. He can want to give. He could feel appreciated. He can feel valued. He can feel that you respect him, feel that you trust him. And then he'll come closer. And then he may start opening up. He may start sharing his feelings and being real and authentic with you. And then you both can come together rather than fighting. And every time you try to talk about anything serious, you guys just get into arguments, or you stonewall each other, or he stonewalls you. And there's no connection there. We want to bridge that gap. We want to make him come closer. We want to have a quality communication, which is why it's so helpful to invest into better communication skills and learning how to really master communication, especially with the opposite sex in romantic relationships, where there's often so many easy ways for you both to be triggered and easy ways for the relationship to become like this. We want to avoid that. So Mighty One said, my guy knows I'm working hard in this program. However, I can use feminine communication well 90% of the time. But the minute I slip up, he criticizes me. Why? I'll explain to you why. It's not the easiest thing to hear. But the reason why he gets critical when you slip up is because actually feminine communication is not really that much of a gift to a man. Like feminine communication and using what we teach you, it's like you bring things from bad to just neutral. Like that's the way it's supposed to be. Relationships are supposed to function where the feminine energy is respectful and trusting of her man, and the masculine energy, he is adoring and cherishing of his woman. That's the healthy polarized relationship, right? Where he feels fully trusted and respected, you feel fully adored and cherished. He's in his masculine, leading, making decisions, protecting, providing, being the hero. You're being vulnerable, sharing feelings, appreciating him, being open, following his lead, receiving his gifts, allowing him to make you happy, etc. So that's the healthy polarized relationship, just like in a dance. You imagine the dance on the dance floor where the man is leading and he's giving and he's helping a woman to enjoy the dance. And if she's not, she walks away or she shares if there's an issue. That's like a great metaphor for healthy polarized relationship is the dance, the partner dance, like a tango, like a salsa, like a swing dance or a ballroom dance. So really, when you're using what we teach you, when you're using feminine communication, you're actually just getting things to neutral, really. Unless you're, of course, if you start appreciating a man and you're really open and vulnerable with him, that'll be like a gift to him. That is, it does start to become positive. But the biggest, easiest way to actually stop being in your masculine is to stop using masculine communication and trying to control him or trying to criticize him. So what happens then is the moment you start being critical and you move into your feminine, or you move into your masculine, you start trying to control him or criticize him in some way, then that's more painful to him than you just being in the neutral zone where you're basically not trying to control him. You're not trying to lead. You're not trying to tell him what to do or mother him. That's like getting into the neutral zone. And of course, you can bring it and make it better by becoming more feminine. And the more you'll use what we teach you and the more you get advanced with it. But so that's why oftentimes a man will, I'm not saying this is good, but why oftentimes a man will get upset is because really it should be expected in a relationship that you're being respectful to him, and of course you're both being respectful to each other. That should be expected. That should be like the default setting, right? And where you're respecting and trusting him and he's adoring and cherishing you. But it's not always like that. And sometimes it's going to be hard if a man isn't really adoring and cherishing you, that you don't want to be respectful. You don't want to trust him. You're like, well, he doesn't deserve it. Well, sometimes you have to go first. Sometimes you have to lead with that extra level of trust and respect so that then he feels the polarity. He feels that now he can come close because now he's not being disrespected. He's not being emasculated. He's not being feeling like he's not good enough or that he's he's being criticized or controlled in some way. And now he comes closer and actually wants to help and provide and make things better and cherish your heart and adore you. So that's really what the process is going to be like. I guess I will use that in a restaurant analogy again. It's like, well, I every time I go to the restaurant, I always am polite and I talk to the waiter well and I tip. And then, but then one time I come to the restaurant and I'm telling the waiter what to do. And why did he get upset about that? Well, sometimes, I mean, that's that one time you go in and you try to tell him how to do his job and everything. Well, that's kind of disrespecting him as the waiter, disrespecting his job. And that can feel a little bit painful to him. And, you know, as of course the norm, which is the norm is everybody should be respectful to their waiter. Everybody should be, tipping their waiter if they do a good job and et cetera, et cetera. So a little bit too long of an answer probably on that, but I just wanted to give you some ideas on that. And it's a good question. And I may have more resources on that later because that's an important distinction. Mighty One, hope that was helpful. Lizzie said he said he doesn't want a committed relationship. Yeah, so that's also really tough, Lizzie, and that's oftentimes if a man says something like that, it's pretty clear you should believe him. You should believe that that's what he wants, and he's probably not going to change. However, you can still use magnetic feminine communication. You can share your feelings around that. You can share more things related to that, and asking him for help and seeing how the dynamic shifts. That a man could potentially want a relationship, but I wouldn't hold your breath either way. I would start also making sure you're dating other men and making yourself available and building your social life to go out and have fun and do other activities. But when you're using what we teach you, we can shift that and hopefully bring him into wanting a committed relationship with you and wanting to shift. But it's going to take some time and some coaching. And I would use the Magnetic Feminine 90-day challenge because that can give you a really good go at getting a quality committed relationship with him and actually wanting him to marry you. So it's just going to take some time, and hopefully we can make those shifts when you use the advanced principles that we'll teach you as well. So yeah, hope that helps, Lizzie. Diana said, he told me I'm perfect, didn't know this is possible. He'd say that over and over. He disappears, pops in and out. I know he's healing. I love him. Would like to wait till he's ready. I'm dating while I wait. Yeah, so that's good. The first thing is it's good you're dating while you wait and making yourself available to the right, a quality man to come in potentially who does know that he's certain about you, that does want a relationship with you, and he claims you, and he's in his masculine, and he's pursuing you, and he's wants to be your protector, provider, hero. And while this guy potentially gets his act together or whatever he needs to figure out in his life where he doesn't think that the relationship with you is possible, similar to what Lizzie was mentioning. And then ultimately, if it's painful for you, you may need to set some boundaries with yourself and not continue dating this guy. You know, if it's becoming painful for you where you know he's in and out and he continues to pop in and out of your life, and it's causing you confusion and it's causing you uncertainty and anxiety, it may be healthier for you to have a conversation with him using magnetic feminine communication, a deeper conversation over the phone, because magnetic feminine communication is always more effective in person or over the phone rather than text or via email or messaging, etc. And having a deeper conversation with him about how you feel and that you need to also take care of yourself and that it may not be the best situation for you to continue to see him if it's just going to be this in and out, in and out. Again, you're not making it about him. You're not telling him what to do. You're making it about yourself and how you feel and what your needs are, and that you need to set a boundary with yourself in order for you to maintain your peace. And so that you can also be fully available to attract somebody else, because you may be dating right now, but if you're not really emotionally available to some of those guys, for one, it's not really fair to them. But for number two, it makes it very unlikely that you're actually going to attract a quality relationship with another guy, because this guy is still pulling on your heart and coming in and out and causing you this confusion and this anxiety and this attachment that may be healthier to actually cut at some point. But I'd recommend first, before you do that, having these conversations with him, and we'll help you. We'll give you exactly what you need to say and do with him. Again, you just need to take our free quiz, and we'll start you on the path to that. We'll do it for you. We'll teach you exactly what to say, and we'll craft it. And I could even practice that with you, but if you want. But the key will be having that deeper conversation so that he can shift, and maybe doing the 90-day challenge, or maybe more of a 30-day challenge to see where the relationship actually shifts to or not. So that's what I'd recommend with that, Diana. Hope that was helpful. Liz said, I recently reconnected with a man I've known for many years since high school. We always had a connection, but it was always bad timing. He was telling me that in the past he liked having sex only. Yeah, so I'm not sure. So you reconnected with him. I imagine that you want to explore a relationship with him. So what I would probably do is, again, have a conversation similar to what I just mentioned to Diana, but having a deeper conversation with him, sharing your feelings around that, sharing your feelings about his past, your past, and what he said to you about that in the past he only liked having sex. Because I'm sure the reason he told you that is because he's potentially saying that's where he is now still. Otherwise, he would probably just been more clear that he wants to date you officially or he's looking for a real relationship. So you need to share your concerns around that potentially if you have them. if you have any feelings of anxiety or uncertainty, if you continue to date him, then I would share that with him. Because also, here's the powerful thing. When you use magnetic feminine communication in the way we teach, that is both respectful and vulnerable, what happens is a man starts to see your value. You start to raise and increase your value in his mind. You become a high value woman, because a high value woman believes that her feelings are worth sharing with a man, that it is worth being vulnerable, and that her desires are worth being met, her problems are worth being solved, that she's worth having a man want to give to her in all different ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, sexually, if it's a committed relationship, etc. If it's a claimed relationship, ideally a marriage, that you are having, that a man will cherish you in those ways, that he will give to you because you deserve it. You're a high quality woman, that you're worth sharing those things. You're worth speaking up, rather than what a low value woman may do, or sometimes we call them the doormat, is one of the versions of that. It's an archetype. A doormat archetype of a woman, she won't speak up. She won't share because she doesn't want to rock the boat. She wants to just be light and fun. She'll walk on eggshells. She'll stuff things under the rug. She'll paint the red flags green, pretend that they're not there, just to try to keep the peace, try to make sure that he's happy, try to make sure that she's managing his perception of her, that she's managing the relationship and the direction. So she's doing a lot of stuff, but it's all from her masculine, actually trying to manage things, trying to make sure he likes her, because the top priority of the doormat is to be liked. Another term for that is the people pleaser, right? To be liked. I need him to like me. I need him to want me. So I'm going to make sure I don't say anything that could offend him, or I don't speak up, or I don't share my desires, because I don't want him to feel like I'm a burden, or that I'm high maintenance or anything like that. I don't want to be like a bitch or anything like that. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to be quiet. I'm just going to pretend everything's good and just joke around with him and laugh and maybe have sex with him. And then he doesn't text me for a week or two. You don't want to be caught in that situation. So the key, the way out of that, is to be high value, queenly woman. Be the queen, what we teach, where you're high value, you're respectful, and you're also feminine. You're speaking up and sharing how these things that a man might say, how does it make you feel authentically? But you're doing so, when you share those things, you're doing so respectfully, so he doesn't think you're not penetrating him energetically, or you're not telling him what to do, or you're not blaming him or attacking him, etc. You're just simply sharing what's going on for you in your heart. So hope that was helpful, Liz. And then Tamar says, what about someone who provides but still talks down to you with contempt? Yeah, so the first thing is always appreciate. Whenever a man is doing something right, you want to always appreciate that, because that's a positive reinforcement. That calls him more into his masculine. That makes him want to do that more. It makes him feel valued and respected and trusted. And so it's good. It's healthy for your relationship. So that's why I always recommend balancing out whenever you're sharing your feelings and your problems and asking for help from a man, that you're also balancing that out with sharing appreciation and letting a man know when he's doing a good job and how that makes you feel primarily. So let him know how it makes you feel, the fact that he is providing for you financially, it sounds like, probably in other ways too. And every time he does that, appreciate him, tell him the ways that the ways that it makes you feel, but also the ways that you trust him, that you respect him, that you admire him. That'll make him feel really good. That'll make him feel valued. That'll make him see you as a woman he can make happy, a woman that he wants to invest more into. And the other piece of it is you also have to share your feelings around the contempt. You have to speak up, and you have to share how that makes you feel, the impact of that. Sometimes you could just say something like, ouch. Like if a man says something that's really contemptible towards you, like showing contempt, like he's saying something like, I don't know what an example of that would be. An example of contempt. Like, yeah, well, you don't ever do anything around the house, so you can't say anything about it. Something like that. I'm guessing that would be like a contemptful statement, or like, yeah, well, since you're just Mrs. Lazy Pants, why should I do anything for you anymore? Why should I take care of this? I don't know. That would be like just a random example. So if a man says something like that, you can sometimes just say like, ouch, like basically in a way you're saying like that hurt, but you're not telling him, like, you're not attacking him back. You're not saying like, oh, you really hurt me. You're a bad man. You're evil. You're not treating your wife well. You're horrible. That would be an attack. That would be blaming him and criticizing him, which would just make him more defensive and probably even say worse things to you, as opposed to you simply sharing your feelings, being vulnerable, how that makes you feel when you share those things, or saying, using magnetic feminine communication that will teach you how to have conversations with him where you share, I feel sad, I feel, I feel anxiety, or I feel disrespect, or I feel, I feel, yeah, those would be some of the big ones. Those are the things you can share with him that'll allow him to empathize with your heart and draw him closer. And so the key with all that is, how do you share those conversations in a way that's both respectful and vulnerable, so that you're being authentic, but you're also not attacking him and blaming him. That'll just cause the fight, right? You want him to empathize with your heart. You want him to feel the impact of his actions and his words, and to then feel inspired to want to help and to not want to do that again, to not to be your hero rather than your villain. Because in that moment, he's being a villain. He's attacking you in a way, and that's not good. That's bad. But you want to allow him to see that for himself. You want him to feel that it's bad rather than you having to tell him that it's bad. And that's when you make it about yourself and what you're feeling and how you feel about what he did and what he said. Then he gives himself the feelings of, oh shoot, I did something bad. Oh shoot, I said something wrong. I shouldn't have said that. I hurt her. I don't want to hurt her. You want him to feel that, like, oh man, why did I do that again? And then he'll likely will apologize, hopefully, and want to make it better when he can really feel that you're not attacking him, you're not blaming him, you're not making it about him, but just how you feel and what's going on for you, and asking for help. And if he still consistently is contemptuous towards you, even when you're using what we teach you in the magnetic feminine communication, if you've got coaching support, and he's still not doing it over the 90-day challenge, you may need to be willing to walk away and set boundaries with him, because that's not a good situation to stay in. And you need to get away from bad men who are not taking care of your heart over time when you're using what we teach you, because sometimes old patterns are coming into play, which is the reason why he's still doing this to you, even though it's not good, it's not healthy, is because he's not used to you being in your feminine. He's not used to you being open and vulnerable and feeling the impact of his actions. So he needs some time often to learn how to be caring, how to be adoring your heart, how to be cherishing for your heart. And hopefully he will learn that. And then your relationship will totally transform and shift. Okay, let's see if we have a couple more questions here. We have a lot of questions. I just don't know how many I'll be able to get to here. So we have a question here. Where in a man's life did he learn this behavior? Yeah, it could be from bad role models growing up. If he didn't grow up with a dad who was a healthy role model for how to be in his healthy masculine and take care of women and protect them and be their hero, or the people around them that need help. He could have also learned it from the culture or from school, whatever. We all pick up these bad programmings. Women learn how to be in their masculine. Men learn how to be in their feminine. Men and women are getting bad role models for relationships from the culture, from society. So you need to have other voices. You need to get out of your bubble of people who are suffering with their relationships, who are unhappy, or who are teaching bad principles around relationships because they don't know and they don't have a great relationship themselves. You need to get away from those people and start listening to people who have healthy or happy relationships and who are working on themselves and who are improving and who are learning better principles that are not taught by the culture, who are not taught by society, that they are not being taught by society, so that you can have a happy relationship. You have to get around healthy, happy people and join a community, get coaching support ideally, and learn how to have the opposite of maybe what your parents had, which men need their own training too. So I'm not saying men don't need to change. They of course need to change. So much help needs to be given to some of these men who are not being taught the proper ways to be in their masculine. However, with the law of polarity, the beautiful thing is, for your relationship to change, we only need to change one of you. Because if you become more feminine, you're going to inspire him into his healthy masculine. If a man becomes more in his healthy masculine, he's going to inspire you more likely into your healthy feminine. So we only need to change one of you to change your relationship. If we can shift you into your healthy, respectful, vulnerable, magnetic feminine energy, you'll inspire a man to then be in his healthy, respectful, masculine energy and adoring energy. He's caring for you, and then your whole relationship can change. So that's going to be the key for that. And let's see, I'll answer one more question here. Okay, so let's see. Nostalgia said, my boyfriend often asks for reassurance from me too, asking if I love him, if I'm happy. What's the best way to answer? Well, the best way to answer is to be truthful and to share. Are you happy? Do you love him? Like, share those feelings with him. He's actually asking you to share your feelings. He wants you to be in your feminine in that moment, which is great. He wants to know if he's doing a good job. That's a sign that he's a masculine man. He's checking in with you. Now, if you're not, you want to be authentic with that as well. You could be, it's probably a mixture. What I would say, what's realistic likely, is you have a mixture of emotions towards him. Part of you loves him, part of you feels happy, but then another part of you is probably feeling anxious or feeling sad, or that you're having unmet needs, which is normal. Not every relationship is perfect, and not every relationship is going to be perfect all the time. And so you can share those things. You can say, yes, I love you, and yes, I feel happy, and I love being around you. I love our time together, and you make me feel safe, etc. So you can let him know all those appreciations. And then you can also share, and you can be respectful with it and say, can I share another feeling I'm having with you too? And he can say, sure. So I would ask permission before that, because you want to make sure he's in a space to hear that, because he might be feeling so insecure in that moment, he's not ready to hear any, things about what's wrong. But if he is available to that and you ask permission, he says, sure, then you can also share, I feel some sadness, or I feel anxiety. And you can say, why? And you can share the rest of the story, because, I've noticed we haven't been really spending a lot of time together, for example. We seem to be seeing each other only every week or two. And I'm telling myself a story that maybe you don't want to spend more time together, and that makes me feel sad, and I don't know what to do. And you're giving it up to him to take action to hopefully solve that problem, so that now you can be fully happy. But he can understand how he can actually make it better, and then let him come up with the solution. Let him figure out how to actually make you happy and how to make the relationship much better on his side of things. So that would be an example of one thing you can use. And I would highly recommend getting a specific script, letting us help you craft it out, what exactly to say with him, how to have these conversations in a way that he comes closer to you, and that you master feminine communication, you master your relationship, so then you're just going to be happier for the rest of your life. It's a short-term investment you make into yourself to really handle this and really learn these principles, learn how to tango dance effectively, learn how to communicate effectively. It's like you're learning a new language. But once you've got it and you've been able to practice it, and you have used a 90-day challenge where we help you get the relationship you want with him guaranteed over that period of time, unless he's a broken man, which there are 5 to 10% of men who are broken. In that case, would recommend actually that you get out of that relationship, because it's not healthy for you. But then, so ultimately you'll have the relationship you want. Ultimately, when you engage in this process and when you use what we teach you, and you allow us to give you the right training, the right principles, the right scripts to do it for you, to actually practice it with you and get you a part of a community of women that are lifting you up into a much better reality, into a much better world where men are providing for you mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, in all the different ways that they can provide for you, that they want to provide for you, you're going to have a much happier life. So that's going to be the best process for you moving forward, and what I would recommend, Nostalgia. So I hope that was helpful. So awesome. Much love. Again, if you haven't taken our free quiz, that's where this whole journey really starts. If you really want to master this, get this handled in your life once and for all, and have a beautiful, blissful relationship with the man you want, take the free quiz by clicking the link in the description or comments below, or in our bio. Or you can go to Magnetize Your Man. Oh, actually, this is the right one. Go to magnetizeyourman.com to pick that up. So much love. Take care. Hope this was helpful. And I'll talk to you again in our next trainings, or in our memberships, our coaching, and our quiz very soon. Much love. Bye-bye.